So the question that brought up this issue of chord building in the first place was revolving around enharmonic equivalence. The student had run into instances in a book where the F6 chord was drawn, and she had noticed that that was the same as the D minor 7. This is very observant to have learned these two chords in different songs and to memorize their shape enough that you would recognize that it's the same chord shape used in two different contexts with two different names. To figure out what's going on there, we have to go back again to knowing the notes on our ukulele. So we've got our strings, G, C, E, and A. We can fill in the C scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Go backwards, C, B, A, G, F, E, A, C. On the G string, we also have G and A and B at the 4th fret if we wanted it. But we don't usually use those notes on the ukulele because that string is pitched too high to fit into this scale. We learned last time that when we say chord, like a C chord or an F chord, we're presuming generally a triad, a 3-note chord, which is built upon the formula root, 3rd, and 5th, 1, 3, and 5. If we want a C chord, we found out that we want to go into the alphabet and start numbering on the letter C. C is the name of the chord, so it's the 1, it's the root. You count in the alphabet, C is 1, D is 2, it's not included in this chord, E is 3, so that becomes one of the notes in the chord, the 3. Counting along, G is the 5. So this C chord, strumming 4 strings and holding this C note, supplies you with a G string, a C string, an E string, and a C. C, E, and G, 1, 3, and 5, and another C, making your C chord. We saw that if we wanted an F, we'd go into the alphabet and start on the F note to count. It's the root of the chord, it's the name of the chord, so that's where we start counting from. So now F is 1. Climbing up, we see G is 2. 2s aren't included unless we ask for them. A is the 3. It's the presumed note needed by this formula. 1, 3, and C is the 5. So there's your F chord. Here we've got F, the 1, we've got an A, and an open C string, the 5. 1, 3, 5, and another A is available to us, so we use it as well. Notice F has C notes in it. We can use this C string, or we could grab that C note. So we could have F with an open A string, or we could put a C note on it. In either case, we're still only playing F, A, and C. One time around, we could play 2 different A's. With the pinky on this C, we get 2 different C's. We're just doubling different notes of the chord. We're not adding anything. It's still just F, A, and C. We also learned our D minor chord early on because it's so close to F. If you count in here, 1, 3, and 5 starting on D, you get D, F is the 3, and A is the 5. So we learned this shape for an A, for a D minor. We've got your A on the G string, your D note, that's the root of the chord, an F here at the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and another open A. Just like F, it's got 2 A notes in it. So D, F, and A are represented in this configuration. If I count from the bottom string up, I've got the A here, the D, the F, and the A. D, F, and A are showing up in there though, 1, 3, and 5. Why is that a minor and these are majors when I built them the exact same way? I'm not going to go into that right now, but that question is natural. It has to come up in your playing and you have to wonder about it at some point. Although I found these notes by counting 1 up to the 3rd note and up to the 5th, in relationship to D, this 3 is not as far away as in the major chords, so it's called a minor 3rd or a flat 3, making that a D minor chord. Why the distinction is another thing for another day. This is why you need to learn some theory. Every time you have a curiosity, every time you want to fill in a question, you've got to go back and find out some of the background information behind it. 1, 3, and 5 presumes major chords. If I want to specify in a minor chord, I would tell you that the 3 is flatted or a minor 3. So now that brings us to the actual crux of the question. Look how much background information is required to fill in to answer any question that comes up out of order. We saw in the book that this person wanted an F6 chord. Triads are 1, 3, and 5. When we start adding numbers to it, we're adding notes to our chord. If we started counting on the F, F is 1, G is 2, A is 3, so that's part of our triad, B is 4, it's not part of our triad, and C is 5. That is our triad, so F, A, and C. But this chord asks for a 6, so you count 1 past. You get your F, your A, your C, which is 5, and your D, which is 6. So you take an F chord and add a D to it. The best D is sitting right here. When I do that, you'll go, well, you're just holding your D minor chord again. Indeed I am, and in fact, these two chords can substitute for one another. One problem with this at the moment, though, is by putting this D on here, I've lost my C. That open C is no longer available to me. That's why knowing that there's a C up here is helpful. You can grab an F chord, put the D in on the C string, which has eliminated that open C, so I'll replace the C with this pinky. Now I have a chord with 4 different pitches. Previously, the F had had 2 different A's, this low A and this A. We saw that we could replace the A with a C and repeat C's instead of A's. Now we find we have to do that if we want to complete the chord with a 6 in it. So now I get F, A, D, but I haven't done a C yet, so I'll replace this top A with a C note. So F6 then is this picture. A 3rd fret C, a 1st fret F, a 2nd fret D, and another A with this 2nd fret. We will also run into D minor chords and D minor 7s. So the D minor is D, D, E, F, D, F, D, E, F, G, D, E, F, G, A. D, F, and A, the 1, 3, and 5, or as I specified, a minor 3, 1 flat 3, and 5. There's no difference in your counting, it just has to do with the scale we're in. 1 flat 3, 5 is D, F, and A, but they're asking for a 7 now. So if you continue to count from D, D, E, F, G, A, B, C is the 7. So I've got my D minor, and there's a C here. So the D minor 7 is D, F, A with a C in it. Again, technically, this is a minor 3 for the D chord and a minor 7. That just has to do with the distance they are from the D note itself in this scale. But again, we're not going to try to describe that too much. But you're starting to hear the context. Minor chords have a minor or flat 3 instead of a 3. It looks the same when you're counting it out of the scale, but there is distance between the notes. It's a little closer to a D than would be a major 3. The F chord had F, the 3 is A, the 5 is C, and the 6 is D. Notice those notes, F, A, C, D, and these notes, D, F, A, C, are the same. They're not derived in the same order. When I count from 1, F is 1, and I go up and find the D as the 6. When I count from D, D is 1, I go up and count C as the 7. But as we said, once we configure them on the ukulele, we can't keep them in their theoretical order. That's called closed position. Our ukulele doesn't give us the ability to reach out and get every note in its proper order. We have to grab them in a different configuration. These are called inversions, and when they're out of order, it's called an open inversion. So my D is located here. I've got the A, the D, the F, and the 7, the flat 7 or minor 7 for a minor chord, the C. The exact same image as an F chord, which had the F on the 2nd string, the A on the 4th, the D, the 6th of this F6 chord, on the 2nd fret of the C string, and then a C note up here. So the same 4 notes have come to us in different orders, but they give us the same fingering on a ukulele. One last question came up with this is, well, why do we have 2 different names? And that has completely to do with the context of the song. The ukulele is just this tiny little voice up on top of the music. There could be a rhythm guitar and a piano and a bass player below us actually defining the chord. So if a bass player is playing Fs in relation to the F chord, his F creates the fact that that's a 1. That's the 1 of the F chord, and then I'm counting these all in relation to that. My F is also a 1, A is the 3, C is the 5, and D is the 6. If that bass player or pianist is playing a D note in the bass, the D becomes the 1, and then my D is my 1. So D is 1, F is 3, minor 3, flat 3, the A is the 5 in that chord, and the C is the flat 7 or minor 7 of a D minor 7 chord. You're not going to absorb all this in one sitting. Review it, write it out, think about it, draw the chord, play the chord, look at your fingers, draw a picture like this and label the notes so that you label it A, D, F, and C. And look at that as a D chord with a 1, a flat 3, a 5, and a flat 7. Look at it as an F chord with F as 1, A as 3, C as 5, and D as 6. Look how I'm pointing them out already. I'm not going 1, 3, 5, 6 in order. I've got an F way up here, the 3 is way down here, the 5 up there, back down to a 6. That's because of how the ukulele is strung and how we have to arrange our fingers to get the chords.